Hi everyone, Marianne Ferguson here from Splinter Hill Holistics to talk to you today about conducting distance sessions. So we actually had this class, this Zoom class last week, or last Monday, a week ago today on Monday the 23rd, and it didn't record properly. So I'm just going to record the presentation portion again and send it out to everyone. And then we're doing a follow-up Q&A to see after people practiced for the week, whether, if they had any questions. So we're going to do that tonight. This is the 30th today, March 30th at 6 p.m. So if you've registered for this class, you're going to get this recording, and then I'll record again tonight and send. Unfortunately, our session last Monday didn't record. I didn't have the buttons pressed properly, or something didn't happen. But anyway, I'm really thrilled to welcome you to my offerings, to my work. This is about how I conduct distance sessions myself. And so I'm just going to tip this a little bit so it's kind of shining behind me. It's not, it's the way I do it. And I just started on my own and developed this myself. And maybe it's the way a lot of people work, probably, but it's the way I work. And I just want to say I'm an Eden Energy Medicine advanced practitioner and fundamentals teacher here in Kamloops, BC. And I just want to say this is not an Eden Energy Medicine class. This is not the way they would teach distance work. They don't really even teach it, but there has been some recent stuff around distance sessions. And this is not Eden Energy Medicine. This is my own work. So I just want to say that and clarify that for anyone who may not understand. So now let's just jump right in here. So, if you are an Eden Energy Medicine practitioner and you have been doing energy testing on people in your practice, distance healing, you might be wondering how you can do that. So I have developed a way to do that. I learned this method from Ellen Meredith, and I use my pointer finger as an indicator. And it's this knuckle here. I put one finger in the middle over the pointer finger, and I just push on that. And I make sure not to bend in these knuckles. I just want to push those, or not in these joints. I just want to push and bend right here at this joint and use this muscle in the hand. So there's lots of different techniques. And if you don't use energy testing for your work, you won't need to use this at all. But if you do use energy testing, you'll want to find a way to continue to test by distance. And this works for me. And I just want to say this is not surrogate. I am not testing on, yes, I'm using this muscle in my hand, but I feel that I'm testing the client. I am not testing and embodying the client. I'm not being a surrogate. I'm using my own finger, but I'm testing the client. And so I guess it's a subtle difference, but I am very clear inside myself to what I'm doing. So just keep in mind that when you're using your finger, you're testing your client and not yourself. And we're going to talk about a way to do that. So there's lots of different testing techniques. If you have your own that works for you, that you've been using, by all means continue to use it. This is the one I use. I like it. I learned it from my mentor, Ellen Meredith, and it works for me. It keeps one hand free to use while you're using your testing finger. So I've always used it, and I really like it. I started distance work working on my sisters because I wanted to work on them, and we were trying to figure out if that would work. And it did work. It worked amazingly well. And so I have kind of continued on that and never looked back. So when you begin testing, using this method, when you begin using this finger, if you've never used an alternate testing before, if you'd like to, if you're going to do it, you need to practice. So what I did to start with this is I would practice on a live person. So if you've got someone else in your home right now that you could practice on, that would be great. So I would use my finger first and to test, and then I would use their arm to test or their leg to test, and make sure that my testing was accurate. And it took a little while before I felt like it was, but then I started to realize it really was accurate. So now I trust it quite well. And also, you need to get your ego out of the way. You need to not assume that you know what's wrong with your person or what's right with your person or what's going on with their energies. It's just the same as all energy testing. You want to clear yourself from that. So another thing I guess I'd say here is that I think it's important, if you are going to use this method, I personally believe that it will be more accurate if you have already mastered, energy testing, using a person, using the arm, and started to feel the subtleties of when the energy is strong and when it is weak, and what helps, what makes people lose their energy. If you start to feel those subtle energies while using the arm, you're going to get this much more quickly, because you'll feel those same subtle energies as you're working with this finger. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Practice away with that, and make sure that before you conduct your distance sessions with your clients, unless you're just having a client that you know very well that is willing to practice with you, practice with fellow practitioners or with friends, people that you know, to begin with. And so that when you do walk into this with someone in mind, with a client, and you're being professional, make sure you know it's going to work, okay? That's, I guess, what I'd like to say about that. So let's think about distance healing. Distance healing it's such a beautiful thing. I have a full-time practice here in Kamloops, British Columbia, and I also have a part-time practice in Calgary, Alberta. And then I have a lot of distance clients, and I've had that for quite a few years. And sometimes I'm working on my Calgary people from distance. And and now at this time, with the new reality of social distancing for a while, I am definitely working and I have transitioned all of my regular clients that come to my studio. I have transitioned them all over to distance healing with great success, and it's been a really great experience for them. Like, they're all used to working with me hands-on, and but they all trust me. They've been coming for a long time to me, and so they know I wouldn't say that I could do this if I couldn't. And so they were all willing to give it a try. All of them said, well, let's try. And I know that if they didn't feel that they had any results or the similar results, that wouldn't happen again. But that's not what's happened. I've had great comments coming back from people going, wow, this really does work. And it does. Yes, it does. Of course it does. Because we are physically apart, but energetically we're all together. Energetically, we're all in the same place at the same time. And quantum physics tells us that, but it's really hard to stretch our brains around that. But it's true, we are all together. And so that's what we're doing. We're accessing the energy. Our energetic bodies are all together. So, and we have to remember that the energies that we work with isn't like the energy that runs a machine or something. It's to think that would be missing the richness and the subtleties of the universal energies and our energies, and how connected all that is, and how available all of that is. And you would be missing out on some of your abilities to do healing forces, to use your healing forces. So we are this intersecting stream of consciousness. Like, energy our energy is streams of consciousness. That's what energy is. As it moves, it's streams of consciousness. And it's flowing through your body and flowing through your field, and it's interacting with the energy flows in the environment. And some of these energies are shared, and some of these energies come from deep within you and bridge and connect within you and within your aura. And then some connect with the energies of the environment, and somehow they come together in this thing that is you or me. And it's a really beautiful thing when you think about it. And this energy body can be the energy body can be accessed easily from anywhere you are at any time, and it doesn't require for the person to be physically present for you to access the energy. So, you know, our perception of time and space is what keeps us grounded and keeps us physically in our bodies and physically here on the earth, and that's a very good thing. But we've become so wrapped up in time and space that we have forgotten. And I think older cultures and cultures far long ago did have a very strong connection to the more subtle energies. And we've kind of lost that as we've gotten into more of what we can see and what we know to be true, what we can measure on machines. And so, I think that with losing my words, I almost need a Wayne Cook here. I think with all perceptions, we can change our mind about how we feel about that, and just start to expand and expand and expand into the universal energies and start to connect with them. And that illusion of time and space can be transcended or altered with some practice. And all we need to do is use our focus and open our minds, and it will happen for us. And so we know that quantum physics tells us that that distance between objects, we're not really as separate as we think. We are separate physically, and we appear separate, but energetically we are all connected. And so when we think about working on someone across the country or in another city or even in another room, we think about the energy traveling over there. And that's not what happens at all. They are right here under your hands. The energy isn't traveling anywhere. It's simply felt, sent, and received right in the moment. They're there just like they're there physically. And so when I first started doing distance healing, I would stand at my table and walk around my table just like the client was on the table full size. And that's how I did it, and that's how it worked for me. That's how I perceived it in the beginning. So when you're doing a distance healing, you are going outside of time and space, and you're altering this perception to this place where there is no separation between us, to this place of one, of beingness, okay? And in this place, time not only flows forwards, but it also flows backwards. So we can access past, present, and future just the same as we can when our client is on the table. We know from our studies that the energies are all accessible from all of the important past experiences, and from everything that's happening now and what may come into the future. And so we can do the same thing by distance. And the only thing that it depends upon is where you're going to put your attention. Where you put your attention is what you get. So we only need to ask to see certain reference points or gain some knowledge to have a look at the events and not necessarily change the outcomes, but change the energetic outcomes or how those energies are affecting us now. So we have all of this available at our fingertips, and we've learned this stuff from Donna, and we can apply this to our distance healing. So Remember that the body that you're working on isn't in your physical in your physical presence, but remember that it's here under your hands. It's in your energetic presence, and you are in its energetic presence. And so as long as you can hold your focus, as long as you can hold your focus on the energy, you can stay with that person and their energies through the duration of your session. Now, I think it's really, I have to point out the ethics here. I have to say it, and I know most of you don't need to hear it because most of you have studied ethics and have good ethics, but we have to remember that consent is vital. We must never tune in and work on someone's energies who we don't have consent from. Okay, this places a lot of power in the healer's hands, and misuse of that power is unethical. And I know we know this, but sending energies to someone, into someone, even if you think they wouldn't mind, it's unethical. I wouldn't want someone to tell me they've been checking in and working on my energies without me knowing. Like a quick phone call, a quick text to someone saying, you know, I'm worried about you. I'd like to check in on your energies and see where you're at and see if there's anything I can do for you. You know, are you okay with that? Most people really are, but if you get a no, the answer is no. Okay, and so I really want to stress that's unethical. And the other thing, it's really important to say that distance healing is should only be used for doing good. Casting curses or intending harm through distance is serious violation of the universal laws of energy and will definitely come back to bite you in a big way. So please only use your distance healing for work in service to all, for the good of all concerned, and with permissions. I'm sure you guys don't need to know that, but it's always a good reminder for us to think about our ethics in everything that we do, and especially in anything new that we take on. What are the ethical repercussions of this? So now we're going to go into the logistics a little bit, the logistics of getting ready to do a distance energy session. So, you know, when your person comes to see you in your office, you have them sign your intake form and fill out your forms and stuff. And this is no different. You want a signed consent form before you conduct the session. So you'll have one on your computer that you can send, that they can scan and sign and send back. And if they don't have capabilities for that, you can type something out that is your consent. You can maybe copy and paste it onto an email and have them send an email back that they have read and agree. And then print that and put it into their file. You need their written consent that you can work on them. It's important. And I have attached a sample of my consent form that I have as a PDF file. Don't send them Word documents, anything they can alter. Make sure that you send a PDF file, and they can download it, they can print it, they can sign it, and they can scan it back to you. That's best case scenario. But some of these other ways, you know, just figure out a way and make sure that you get a consent into your file. So the next thing is you want to let the client know what to expect. Our clients haven't necessarily done anything like this before. Some of them have in some maybe different way, but they don't know what to expect from you if they haven't worked with you before. And for most clients, it's going to be, it's a little woo-woo, right? It's a little wild for them to think that you're going to be actually working on them from a distance. So tell them what to expect. Tell them that you're going to want them to lie down in a comfortable place, fully clothed, just like if they come to you, and set up what you're going to use to have the distance session, which we're going to discuss a little bit more, what kind of video or audio you're planning to use, and let them know that how long it's going to be, how much time you're going to take, and let them know that they may or may not feel the energies move, but they should feel the results. And that's what you're looking for. If your client feels the results, you know that you're doing good distance work. And so ensure your client has the appropriate software that you intend to use. and that you both have the latest updates. So it's really important that you keep all of your softwares that you're going to use updated to the latest version, and make sure that the client does that too before you go. So you have a lot of people who have used Skype in the past at some point, right? Skype is the old one. And so a lot of people will say, yeah, I think I've got Skype. And so make sure that they go on in advance and download and update to the latest version of their Skype or whatever it is they're using. And if you're concerned at all, do a previous connection. So maybe the day before or a few hours before, just do a 30-second connection that says, yes, I can see you. Yes, I can speak to you and hear you. And then hang up and I'll see you later. Okay. So that's often, that's often a prudent thing to do. I've had people, when I first started, this got me a couple of times where went on to go on to Skype, and we went to start, and oh, the person hadn't used it for 2 or 3 years. Oh, they didn't know they had to update to the latest software. So 15, 30 minutes later, we're starting our session, and that can be a problem because maybe I have another client waiting after them, or we might have to reschedule or something. So try to make sure you think about some of these things. Look at the camera, not at the video. So like I've got mine set up where my where my open page on my computer, I've got it quite high. I've got it up high towards my camera, so that when I'm actually looking at myself on screen here, but my camera is just like right above that, so that it looks like I'm looking at you, right? And so that we really want to create a strong connection with our clients. With our clients that come into our office, we create these beautiful, intimate connections. And I would like that to carry through to our distance sessions. And so I do what I can to create that close connection, even by distance. So, some people have cameras in a different spot than their screen. So when you're talking to them, they're watching you like this, but the camera is coming from over here. So if you are the one conducting the session, you make sure you're looking at your camera, and it doesn't matter what's happening on the screen. And you'll be really tempted to glance over and look at yourself all the time. And if your notes are up on that other screen, that's okay. I'm looking at my notes sometimes as I'm speaking, but I'm connecting with you through the camera. So now check your background. Make sure your background looks professional. Make sure, like I do things mostly in my studio. Sometimes I do it in my living room, but I always check my background. And make sure you don't have piles of dirty dishes or laundry heaped up anywhere. Just make sure you look like you're in a professional setting. And invest yourself in a high-speed internet connection. So, your client might not have the highest speed internet, and you may experience interruptions because of that, but don't let it be your problem. Don't let it be the fact that you don't have the right stuff. Only set yourself up for what you know will work. If you don't have good internet and you somehow can't get it, even though I think it's available from the heavens these days, I would then suggest not using video, use audio. And if you are experiencing connection issues, switch to audio mode. You can go right into your Zoom, right into your FaceTime, and switch from video to audio anytime. Just click on your video and turn it off. And then you're only connected through audio, and that's okay too. That works as well. You don't have to be able to see the person to work on them. And so if you do experience connection issues, preset this up in your little chat before you start your session. Just say, if we get disconnected, I'm going to try recalling you one time. But if we keep getting disconnected, I'm just going to continue on the session and call you when I'm finished. So that they're not getting up, so they're not up in the middle of their session looking at their screen trying to figure out how to reconnect to you. and thinking that nothing is happening. Tell them, if we get disconnected, just relax. I'm fully tuned into your energies at that point, and I'm going to continue working and finish the session. Then I'm going to call you back and tell you and talk to you all about what's happened. Okay? Because you'll really want them to feel that comfort. Double check your time zones. I got hit by this one when I started too in the beginning, you know, just like starting to do this Zoom class. This is my first Zoom class, and I got bit by not knowing how to record properly. So now I'm having to re-record. So it's the same kind of thing. Right in the beginning, I missed a couple of times double checking time zones and got the times, you know, got the times mixed up. And so when you give a client the time, give them the time in their time. So if you're working in a different time zone, you know, I'm working on you at 3 p.m. Central Time. So their time, whatever their time is, so they get it right. And then you do the calculations, you get it right at your end. That's your responsibility to make sure that all of these things go as smoothly as possible. And I know we all make mistakes in the beginning, but this is why you'll have this list. And this is a really good list just to have as a checklist when you're working. And minimize distractions. So phones, children, traffic, pets, like make sure there's no distractions at your end, for sure. Close your door. Put yourself in a private space where the phone won't ring, nothing's going to bother you. And the pets won't come, people won't knock on your door and ask you what you're doing, just like in a regular session, no distractions. And if at all possible for your client too, especially no other people in the room, please. You might get the energies mixed up. Get the person in a room on their own, and I would say even without pets if possible. Okay, so no distractions. Dress professionally. Yes, try and keep yourself looking a bit professional, sort of like maybe how you would dress in a session if they came to you. But, you know, don't be in your house coat, don't be in your pajamas. We dress in all different ways to do this work. I mostly kind of wear yoga clothes to do my work, and so that's mostly what I wear when I do distance sessions as well. I mostly kind of live in those kinds of clothes. Be prepared to journal your findings. So I have my little session narrative that I use, that I use for my sessions, and I keep my session narrative right there and keep a running list of what I find as I assess the energies and what I do as I correct the energies and what works and what doesn't, the same as in any other session, because you're going to want to debrief with your client afterwards and send them some follow-up work. And so for themselves, a little bit of self-care. And so you really want to make sure you don't miss anything. Write it all down as you go. Stay in the energy, but write it down. You can do that. So now let's just briefly go over the types of connections, because there's lots of different ways to do this. You can do live video, and that is my preference, I have to admit. FaceTime, Zoom, Skype, Line In, those kinds of things. I like, if I can, to be able to connect visually, and really that's just mostly for making that connection with your client. But also then you can see subtle energy shifts in the body, and you can communicate, you can ask for feedback if you want to during the session, and it makes it just a little bit closer. But we can't always do that. So there's that, and you could do live audio where you're on the phone, on Skype, on FaceTime audio, on any of those kinds of things without the video recording. If you know the internet's going to be poor, don't try the video recording. It's not that necessary. And so everybody can put their phone on speakerphone. Just make sure that the client doesn't feel like they have to hold it up to their ear or hold it close to them. Just have them lie it somewhere down. And you might not even be talking that much as you work, right? And so you could also do a phone consultation, hang up, do the session, and recall back and have that follow-up conversation at the end with no live connection during the session. And that I have with a few of my clients who live out in the bush and have not good internet or something like that, well, we'll do a phone call first and after. And that works very well. Or you can do a prearranged time. Say, I'm going to work on you tomorrow at 9 a.m. and you be lying down and rest. It'll take about an hour. And then you can also give a prearranged time for a follow-up call. Like maybe that person is somewhere without a phone. And when they get back into town or back into communication, they're going to give you a call and follow up. Or you might just send them an email as a follow-up and hopefully have a conversation with them at some point. So there's lots of ways to do this, and just figure out what works for you and what capabilities you and your client have. Okay? So now let's go into the practice of actually doing a session. So my experience is that 1 hour for a distance session is definitely sufficient. Definitely no more than 90 minutes. I even find 90 minutes a bit too long. I find like in my office, I do 90-minute sessions. All of my sessions are 90 minutes. And but by distance, I find that people get a little more restless. By the time an hour is up, they're kind of ready to be done. And you know, depending on the client, some of them feel their energies more readily than others. And if they're really feeling their energies moving really into it, you could go a little bit longer. But some people lay there and they don't feel much. But you know, they will feel the results, and that's what you're looking for. So I find after 60 minutes, they're kind of ready to be up and about. They don't want to lie there anymore. And I've experienced that with my own sessions, having distance sessions. After 60 minutes, I get a little, even though I do feel my energies move when someone's working on me. I'm laying there by myself, and I would prefer 60 minutes to be it. But anyway, you can think about that. But I find the energy moves more quickly in distance sessions, and you can be more efficient. There's less chat. There's less, you know, movement and turning over and that kind of stuff. And so I find my distance sessions go quite quickly. So I've already said about my preference is to use the live video, and ask them to set it up so that you can see them. So like, see how I have this set up so you could see my table. So, you know, a client could have that and then be lying on the table and you would see their body quite easily. And they can set it up on the coffee table, and you don't have to see their whole body head to foot. But I find it's really nice just to see their head and trunk at least. And so I ask them to set it up that way so that maybe I can you know, see them quite well. Sometimes it's less than others, but I just do the best with what I have. But I try and get them to set it up so that I can see them and interact with them a little bit and see those subtle body shifts. So, like I said, ensure there's no pets or other people in the room. Some people do end up having their cat or something, or their dog lying on the floor. In the beginning, I didn't let that happen at all. I just said no, because I wasn't certain about accessing somebody else, you know, something else's energies. I'm really quite confident about that, you know, a cat can be in the room now, or a dog, but I still don't want other people in the room. And I also ask them to keep their hands off their body. If people have their hands on their body, they can be affecting their own energies. So hands down by their side is best. I know lots of practitioners who don't let people have their hands on their body at all while they're working, even when they're when they're with them in their room. And that being said, sometimes people will ask you to work on them when they're in the hospital, or work on their loved ones who are in the hospital. And that's a hard one. I do it. The first few times I felt like I didn't know for sure that I was accessing that person's energies. When there's more than one person in the room, there's nurses coming or going. I was very clear about that with my client, you know, that I wouldn't be certain about that. I'm more certain about it now. I do still do it, and you know, I just let them know that we're going to do our best, and mostly it, you know, it's good now. But I would say in the beginning I really felt uncertain, and I feel more certain as I'm better able to feel a person's vibration than I was in the beginning. And that just comes with time. So now, so what I do is I project this person underneath me. There it is. And you know, if you take your focus onto and you think about the person and you put them under your hands, there they will be. And you can use the my name is, and and that doesn't, like, you can still go back to yourself and say, my name is Marianne, my name is Minnie Mouse. But when you just decide to use this to test them, you're going to go, you can even ask them if you're on video, you could say to them, okay, I'd like you to say, my name is Joe. And then you could do this, my name is Peter Pan, and make sure that you've got that connection. That's a good way for some people. I don't have to use that, but I can. Some people feel more confident, like they've actually got the person if they get that test. And so that's good. And then if you disconnect or feel like you may have gotten a little bit loose, if your mind has wandered a bit, you can reconnect that way again using my name is, right? And if you're an Eden Energy Medicine practitioner, you know that one. And if you're not, you're probably maybe not using energy testing anyway. So I project that person in front of me. You know, you could use it, you can use a doll or something that represents that person if you like, because we really have to use our concentration. We really have to continue to see them in our mind's eye, or know them there. And so we need to hold the body beneath our hands and at the same time feel the energies. And that can be quite a lot in the beginning. So a doll or something that represents the person can help a lot, can help you know that you're where you are on the body and help you just stay more into the energies. And so if you want to do that in the beginning, I just put my person on the table and I used my whole table, like a whole body lying on my table. I walked around it and held the points in the air. You know how Donna says, if there's a limb missing, hold the points in the air? Same thing. You're already doing distance healing when you're doing that. You're already projecting, you know, the energies. And so, and you know, when you work on the top of, when we work on the top of the body and we don't want them to flip over and we project that onto the back, we are moving that energy with our minds. So you're already kind of doing that anyway, only you're just moving it maybe 12 or 15 inches rather than across town or across to the other side of the world. So another thing, so what I started out was full-size bodies. I'd move all around the table and stand there and do all my thing. And then I started to realize that I could make the body smaller. So now I make quite a tiny body, and sometimes it's very tiny, sometimes, but you know, head to foot, right? And there they are in front of me. And then I work on them in that way. And in this way, you could, it makes it very efficient because you can hold points on both sides of the body at the same time. Say if you're strengthening spleen, you can hold those spleen 2 points with heart 8 on both sides of the body. You can just slide into spleen 2 and heart 8 and hold those on both sides of the body. Pretty nifty, hey? So you can squish that person down and you can do everything in a really small way, or you can, and then you can expand them. You can make them smaller and bigger at your will. Okay, as long as you really keep your focus. This is very important. I'm going to say that over and over again. So then what do? You've got, once you've got connected, you want to stay in the energy. So it's kind of like if you're a meditator and you've been meditating a lot in your life, you'll be really good at this because you'll be better at staying and holding that focus. And remember when you began meditating, and even now as you meditate, it's like the thoughts are on a little tether. And sometimes, you know, you're very in the energy and in the meditation, and all of a sudden your mind goes off to something else. And when it hits the end of the tether, you kind of realize it and you pull it back in again, right? And so that is kind of an expected thing in a meditation. And so it's the same in distance healing. You really want to stay focused. And you know, when you're working on someone in person, you should be really in the energy and staying very focused in the energy anyway. To be having successful sessions, you should be in the energy and really deep in it. And so it's the same. You're going to stay deep in the energy and stay as focused as possible. And if you feel your mind wander off, just pull it back in again and back into their energy. Okay? And if you would stop and write something down, stay with their energy as you write that down, and think about their energy as you write that down, and go back in. And just keep reconnecting if you disconnect. And it won't take long before you realize that you're really there and you really easily stay connected. But it does take a little bit of practice. So now you've got them under your hands, and you're ready to go. You've got it all set up. Everything's going really well. Now what? What are you going to do? You're going to do your energy work just the way you do it. It's now all up to you. I'm not going to tell you what to do, because you're going to do what you do. Okay, all I'm here to tell you today is how to connect, how to stay connected, and how to conduct the session. And you go ahead now and do your work the way you do it, exactly the same. The client doesn't need to roll over to work on the back. You can access the back the same as the front, with them just lying there. You can access any part of them. You can access all of their energy systems just the same. Now, the only thing I guess I would say here is that I wouldn't, somebody asked at the live session on Monday night about electrics, about not doing electrics. Now, I've done beautiful heart electrics and resetting the internal compass, that kind of stuff. But a deep electric session, it's not that it wouldn't work, but man, you've got to hold that focus without stopping for an hour. So if you plug into those electric points, remember what happens if you pull out too soon. You are stuck with all that energy in you. And so that I don't think I would do. I haven't done that. And it's not like I couldn't, but I would be kind of concerned about my mind wandering and not being, and disconnecting, reconnecting, disconnecting, reconnecting. Deep electrics only work when you stay really well connected for that whole long time. So that's something I wouldn't even do. I would do a different electric session. I think that I've done a beautiful heart electric sessions on people by distance, and I've definitely done resetting the internal compass and those kinds of things. So you could do that. I would never, ever, of course, decide to do a grid on someone. Same thing, you're holding one set of points for a very long time. And so that's the kind of stuff I would not do. So you feel into what's comfortable for you, how long you can hold your focus, as long as you can hold, you can hold your points. And some of the points, it doesn't matter if you disconnect and reconnect. If you're holding source points, if you get a little lazy and disconnect and reconnect, it's not, it's not going to be a big deal. Okay? So proceed as you would. The most important awareness for you to have a successful distance session is your focus. You must stay focused on the energy. You must dialogue with the energy and tell it what it's doing. If you just put your hands like so, and you're thinking about something else, what are these hands doing? They don't know what they're doing. They don't know what's underneath them. They're just in the air. But if you put a person underneath them, and you go into the spleen 2 points and the heart 8 points, you are going to start strengthening spleen. And then you're going to start telling the energies that you are on spleen 2 and heart 8, connected in on this person. And you are going to strengthen their spleen. And you'll feel their energy start to, and then you can start talking to heart about pouring its energy and opening up to spleen and helping make spleen strong. And you can talk to spleen about opening up this point and really sucking up that heart energy and becoming stronger and stronger. And, like that. So we want to be dialoguing with the energies anyway, but in distance sessions, it's really important to continue to dialogue with the energies. So yeah, you can easily move to both sides of the body, and I think I've already said that. And so just assess and correct the energy as you would in any session. Just Continue to assess and correct. And if your correction is the person doing some cross crawls or whatever it is, if you use people getting up off the table and doing stuff, then use that. If that's the way you work, continue to work that way. So I guess the difference for me is I like to do a different kind of ending on my session. I often engage my client in a visualization at the end, and I've attached one on page 7 that you could use, or something similar. While I pump kidney 7, or while I pump K1s, or while I hold the strengthening or the sedating points on kidney. You could do that one. You could do, there's any number of things. I just like to actually engage them. If they're there by audio or video, even if you do the visualization, if you say the visualization to them as you're doing it, then they can just daydream it away. Sometimes some people pull a tarot card for their client at the end and tell them what their tarot card says, or pull an essential oil if you work with essential oils and talk to them about the meaning of that, if that's something that you do. Just something to connect you with the client at the end. And if you're working and not connected by audio or video, you can't do that. But that's something I do like to do at the end. Now, remember to leave 5 minutes, at least 5 minutes at the end of your session for discussion. I work right through to the full hour usually, or very close to it. And then depending on how long the discussion was in the beginning, I like to get at least 45 minutes of actual energy work. And so it's important to connect with your client afterwards. And I often send a small video to my client for their self-care. I make my clients little videos and send it to them. And that's even more of a personal connection again. So it's really nice to make these personal connections any way that you can. Yeah, so that's the presentation, and just practice a few times. Practice on a friend and make sure that you're feeling comfortable with what you're doing. Make sure that your people are feeling the results. It isn't important that the people feel their energy move from distance work or any work on your table, but it is important that that they feel the results. So practice away and get feedback from your people until you feel like that you're doing it and it's all good. And you want to have the confidence that it's working. You don't want to set up any guilt for yourself or any worry that it's not working. When I go into a distance session, I'm just as comfortable and confident as I am in an in-person session. So try and get yourself into that place of confidence, of knowing, of faith, of trust. And go and do a heaven rushing in and ask for support in this. Ask for help to stream that energy, to connect to that energy, and work away at it till you're feeling confident, and have fun, and allow your mind to just expand. And when your mind does expand into this, you'll take a whole new thing with you even into your in-person sessions. You'll have a whole new awareness or a whole new expansion. It's not like we don't know this stuff, but when we experience it and feel it, it just expands our minds one more time. And that's a beautiful thing, as we all know with working in energy medicine. So that's it. Thank you very much for listening and joining me. I'm going to send this out to you guys all now and re-record again tonight with our class. I'm not going to go through the whole presentation again. We're just going to do Q&A tonight. Thank you. Bye-bye.